Sorry. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sabine Jom, I'm French, and I'm Director for Strategy for the French Research and Education. So it's nice to see you all back in the room for this last session of the program before the closing. And I will ask our first speaker to come on stage. So Ssentongo Lloyd, working for the National Institute for Health ISER Center in Uganda. And he will give us a presentation about National Research and Education Networks as a platform for data science capacity development in low and middle income countries. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. Like she has said, I work for the Office of Cyber Infrastructure and Computational Biology at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, but I'm stationed in Uganda, where I head the IT operations for the NREN in Uganda. And at the same time, I'm the chairman for the IT Directors Forum under NREN for the last 3 years. Thank you. So, those who have been to Uganda, the site that I represent, Southwest, and the collaboration has been on with NIH since 2002. Next. So, what is data science? A broad field that refers to the collaborative processes, theories, concepts, tools, and technologies that enable the review, analysis, and extraction of valuable knowledge and information from raw data. It is geared towards helping individuals and organizations make better decisions from stored, consumed, and managed data. Thank you. So, two of the most significant obstacles facing the training and development of data scientists and bioinformaticians in low and medium income countries such as those in Africa, like we all agree, are bandwidth and reliability of internet access, and I will explain this in a bit. This diagram is a little controversial, but it shows the average connection speeds in Africa. So it shows the average connection speeds in Africa. Oh, I don't know, something is, like I said, it's controversial, and the signal is controversial as well. So the preference would be, at least we should have some countries in green, but like you can see, Kenya and I think Rwanda, compared worldwide for Africa, so far they have very good connection speeds. The rest we are still in a bit of orange and red, but I know with the growth of these NRENs, we shall quickly get there. Next. I got this slide from one of the collaboration sites we have in Mali, and I just wanted to show that one complete genome, which is about 1 terabyte, will take more than 80 hours to transfer. So you can imagine, if you don't have high speeds, what this means. Next. So issues faced by the data scientists. So there is the size of the reference databases, current access to databases limited by bandwidth, distance, and the data security, as I'll explain in a bit. Next. So the African Centers for Excellence in Bioinformatics the African Centers for Excellence in Bioinformatics are a consortium of research and training centers facilitated by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in collaboration with research institutions in Africa, private sector companies, and the Foundation for NIH. They deliver high performance computing infrastructure to collaborating research and academic institutions. They provide a platform for sharing skills, knowledge, and best practices between members of the global medical research community. We have already one in Mali, and the one in Uganda is actually opening next week on Thursday. Next. So this is what we have in Uganda. Partnership for people. So NIH is doing the conceptualization of the ACE program, data center setup and maintenance, and as I talk right now, a lot of shipment came in and the assembling is going on right now. Makerere University, where we are putting this facility, they are providing physical space, mentorship, training to students and researchers. The private industry, HP is giving us the high performance computer. Juniper has donated equipment and storage. Then the main person, without RENU, we wouldn't have done this because they are giving us 10 GB fiber circuit to their backbone. They are giving us federated identity and access management through RIF, through which users will use to access the various files in a secure way. Next. So the African Centers of Excellence in Bioinformatics demonstrate a way to provision regional research collaborations through the NREN infrastructure. Then locating mirrors or subnets in NRENs will make data science possible in regions with high rates of infection and emerging pathogens. Next. Local and high-speed connectivity amongst institutions. So for the case of Uganda, the connectivity amongst institutions is unlimited, and we connect to a G, and within the central, they're upgrading this to 10 GB. So because of the local and high-speed connectivity, then it becomes easy for institutions to do the collaboration with the local content. So RENI joined RIF, I think it is 2 years now. So what that means is collaborators in country and globally can use their institutional credentials to work together, which is a very good use case for the NREN. Reliable bandwidth. Large data sets and data intensive science requires bandwidth that meets the needs of the researcher. Then RENI also has another service it offers, which is the file sender. And this is web-based application that allows authenticated users to securely and easily send large files. So we couldn't do all this without RENU. And this diagram shows the 3 sites for the NIH ISA Uganda, which are about 100 to 180 kilometers in between. And the most important thing about this diagram is they are all interconnected Rislan circuits, and we get these from RENU for free at 1 GB, you can imagine. The commercial price for this initially, I think, was about $10,000 to $15,000 per month. So you can imagine what difference RENU has made to make sure that they give us the connectivity in the country. Next. And I would like to acknowledge these people, and most especially our former CEO, Isaac Kasana, who is here today. Thank you very much.
I propose to keep the questions for the end. So thank you very much. Next speaker is up. Yahaya Coulibaly, de l'Agence nationale des technologies de l'information et de la communication, l'AGETIC, et également du Mali Research and Education Network, le NREN. C'est à vous.
Okay. Good morning, everybody here. I first thank WACREN for giving us chance and opportunity to present our paper in this conference. We are three authors, myself and Dr. Rislan from Nigeria and Mr. Bako Traore from Mali. Okay. Basically, the paper is about a study. We want to compare the NREN in WACREN zone. So we pick up one country from French-speaking country and one from English-speaking country, which are Mali and Nigeria, respectively. Okay. So yeah, next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So as we know, research and education cannot be performed without a high capacity of creativity and internet availability in the country, which these are to be offered. Okay, so mostly in other parts of the world, this has been a reality, but in Africa, mostly in West Africa and Central Africa, this is yet to be a reality. So we will see soon how this is being growing in WACREN region. Next. Next. Yeah. So to do this study, we have adapted a kind of empirical study. Okay. We developed a template that we share among ourselves, and we gather information from different NREN and analyze the result and try to come up with some recommendation for the government and the people in charge of the NREN in these countries. Okay. Next. Yeah. So the idea of NREN, okay, in Mali, since 1996, the idea was there, to come up with a national network for the research and education in the country, okay? But it met many barriers. So it was only in 2012 that we managed to create the NREN, and we try to make it working, okay? But yet, because 2012 also in Mali is a kind of problematic year, okay? We have a coup d'etat, okay, in a push in the country in that year. So from then until 2015, so NREN could not do much about its functionality, okay? So 2015, through a government project funded by the World Bank, so called PADES. So this project, not obliged, but urged NREN to start working, and they provide funding for that particular for NREN to be operational. Okay. So next slide. Okay. Okay. So from that point of view, 2015 up to after this year, so we really did quite many things. Okay. We create our architecture for the network. We also got our IP addresses from Afrinic, and also our ISN number from Afrinic, and we organize our members for training and for workshops. Okay, so we are still at this point. Our network will be implemented in the few months to come. The bidding is already being approved by the government body for bidding procurement. So when this is done, so we hope to see network being built up in the next few months after the WACREN and connectivity come to the country. They say it will be also very soon. Okay. Okay. Go back. Okay. This was NREN. Okay. Nigeria REN is similar case. They all started in 2012. Okay. But I would say that they are really far ahead of NREN because we will see now they created in 2012, but they managed to connect all the members. Most of the members are connected to each other, and they also offer services compared to NREN, which is still not yet giving any services except from what I will say now. Next. Yeah. So what we propose to give to our members as services are what we see here. Okay. Mostly we propose to give them high-speed internet. Okay. And we also propose to give them training, identity management, security services, anti-spams, and so on. Okay. Okay. This is what we propose to give to our members once we start working. Okay. Next. Nigeria is similar. Okay, next slide. Okay. Next slide. Yeah. Nigeria is the same. They also propose to give them to their members similar services. Okay, which include high-speed connectivity and other services, which I have already mentioned for NREN. Okay, next. Next. Yeah. So business model for the NREN in the two countries. Okay. Financial model proposed for NREN is based on the following. Okay. Members member fund NREN. Through normally what our CEO said last time, that since in the country everybody is paying for internet, okay, the university. So what we propose that the university pay their internet budget to NREN to support NREN to give them the service that we are trying to propose to them. This is one of the funding policy. Number two is membership fee, okay, which depend on the bandwidth given to a particular university, okay, and also we also expect to have some donation from partners and other stakeholders of NREN in the country, okay. This is this is our business model. What we are proposing, it is yet to be seen in actual operation. Okay. Next. NREN, the business model described for NREN is similar, very similar to that of NREN, although some view issues emerge in Nigeria as a result of the nature of operational of NREN. Okay. Okay. Next. Yeah, this is how it is, but I cannot say this one very well myself. It is the guy who was supposed to promote this one is not coming. He didn't come for the conference, so I cannot interpret this one too much. It is all in NERA, and I don't know how to interpret them for the case of the presentation. Next. Okay, now comparing the two NREN. As I said before, NREN is really advanced is ahead of NREN, almost too far, okay? But let's look at this particular point. Legal form of the NREN. NREN is a public interest association, okay? While NREN is a private company, as said by my other colleague, okay? So it's already different. So it's different from in terms of a legal form of the NREN. Next slide. Okay, Marriott service and NREN are proposing, they're almost similar, as I say, but as of today, NREN is providing 40% of the services to its members, while Marriott is yet to provide services. We are focusing now on training and workshop to the members. Okay, next. Network structure and architecture. The network architecture of both NREN is based on MPLS, and they use both transmission technology and mixed mode, okay, fiber, FH, and so on. Moreover, both NREN are also multi-home internet service providing to their members. Okay, this is what we are proposing to do in the few months to come. Okay, next. Type of members. Okay, in NREN, we are open to all government and public universities and schools, and also hospital and health centers. Okay, while in Nigeria, they are open only to public universities and research institutes. Okay, in the country. So we are different in this area. Okay, we are open to almost everybody, public and private. But in NREN, they seem to be focusing only on public institutions. Okay, next. Okay, so this is the end of the paper. So in this paper, we have discussed the evolution of NREN implementation in the two member countries of WACREN, which are Mali and Nigeria. The evolution of the two NREN reveal very similar and very similar condition and promising services for their members. Next. We recommend the government, okay, to give more attention to the NREN, because if the network is functional, so the research will be really advanced and serving the nation as wished by the government and the nation. Okay? In our future work, we plan to investigate the implementation of the NREN in WACREN and ASREN, as well as other regions, to compare the three regions, to see ASREN, WACREN, and Ubuntu Alliance, to see which NREN is really growing and which is doing better, and how can we learn from each other. Okay, so I think this is the end of the presentation, and open for question if you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this work. As we said, we will take the questions at the end. So let me now give the floor to Cathrin Stover. I think you all know Cathrin. Cathrin is a member of GEON executive team as Chief Collaboration Officer, and she will tell us about Africa Connect 3.
Thank you very much, Sabine. Did you enjoy yourself last night? I did. Can I ask to destroy all video material, please? Thank you. Yeah, so I wanted to speak a little bit about Africa Connect 3, but to do so, I think I need to, first of all, talk a little bit about where we actually come from in Africa Connect 2. So if you can change the slides, please, for me. So just a quick recap. This whole thing started at the World Summit of the Internet Society in Tunis. I believe it was in 2005, when we in GEAN had been starting to create regional research and education networks in other world regions outside of Europe, in Latin America at the time, in Asia at the time. And in 2005, the idea came up that this would also be really needed in Africa. It took a long time until 2011, until finally funding was available from the European Commission. So there was a lot of ongoing lobbying work to get this first funding for Africa Connect. And that first phase, that was between 2011 and 2015, really focused on Southern and Eastern Africa. And at the time, we connected 7 NRENs in those first 4 years, and today, I believe many more countries are connected to what is now known as the UbuntuNet network. In 2015, we then progressed with Africa Connect 2, and here it was then decided that Africa Connect 2 should be Pan-African, for the simple reason that the UbuntuNet Alliance and the UbuntuNet Network had proven, that this model works also in Africa, and then of course you have to make sure that no region is left behind. So why are we doing this? Next slide, please. Well, this is really the problem statement, and unfortunately it's an ongoing problem statement. You look at the African undersea cable map, and I don't have the comparison now to other world regions, but you see that Africa really has an enormous amount of capacity around the continent. I would almost say it's one of the best connected continents in the world when it comes to undersea cable systems. However, and that's a shocking thing, on the other side, you see that, you know, if, can you click on please once? You see that Africa still has very low internet penetration rates, even though we can see that internet penetration in Africa has more than tripled since 2011. Still, the internet penetration rate today is at about 54% in 2018. So something is not working in the African environment. The fact that sea cable systems are available has not had a major impact yet on the economies and on the internet penetration rate in the continent. So that's why I say this is an ongoing problem statement. We see improvement, but it is still the case that a lot is to be done if African and African economies are to transform into digital economies, into knowledge economies, and become full part of what's going on in the rest of the world. Next slide, please. So, if that was a general sort of problem statement, then of course, you know, the next thing is to look at why NRENs? I mean, what are NRENs? Why do we really need NRENs? Well, it is the fact that data today is increasingly immense. I mean, there's a data flows, and they call about the data tsunami. So we need to be able to exchange big amount of data, and research data needs to be exchanged in a secure and cost-effective and reliable way, but definitely in a secure way. And a lot of the talks we've had in the last couple of days were about the security of networks. But also, of course, you need NRENs because you want to participate in international collaborations. And you need to increase knowledge and opportunities in remote areas. One of my colleagues always says, well, you know, global science is necessary today in order to be able to solve the problems that we're facing on a human, or on a level as humanity, but we never know where the researcher, the scientist sits that has the sparkling idea that we need to solve this problem. It can be anywhere, and therefore we need to be able to connect as many as possible. So this is what NRENs offer. Next slide, please. This is today's map as we know it. This is the famous GÉANT spaghetti map. You can see that from the GÉANT network, there's an enormous amount of connectivity going into all world regions. And this is the beauty of Africa Connect. As soon as you connect to Africa Connect as your country, you receive the transit to NRENs around the world. Today there are about 130 NRENs that are collaborating with us worldwide. So wherever your research takes place, from Guatemala to Iceland to Bangladesh, this network allows you to transfer your traffic in it, if you could see it. And then of course you may ask, well, how does that actually work? So if we can go to the next slide and make that stable, possibly. Okay, so you see here behind me that an NREN connects the institutions, and if you look carefully and you have eagle-eyed vision, you can see that I'm actually using Garnet here as an example with Garnet institutions. So Garnet connects these institutions in Ghana, and if you click on, please. And an NREN, say the NREN in Nigeria, does the same in its own country. And they connect in the middle via WACREN. Click on, please. And WACREN then connects to GÉANT. GÉANT connects to similar sort of research and education regional infrastructures worldwide, such as the Ubuntu Net Alliance, such as NREN, such as Red Clara in Latin America, or the TAIN network in Asia Pacific. And all of this together then builds what we call the global NREN fabric. And it is important to understand that this is not something that is only happening in Africa. It is happening around the world. And the reason why Africa needs to be in it is because it is happening around the world. So if every other country has an NREN and you are in a country that doesn't have one, by definition you're missing out. Because in the rest of the world, scientists and scientific research is organized around NRENs. So the simple fact that it happens everywhere else is a reason to be on board. So if you click on, please. These are then the African regional networks, and forgive me if this is not a complete map. If you spot your country and something is wrong, I always know that you show a map, everybody immediately looks at their own country and sees something wrong. I hope we've got it right, but this is in general how the Africa Connect project is split into 3 clusters. We have the Ubuntu Net Alliance clusters in Southern and Eastern Africa. We have, no, please, not so fast. We have the green cluster here for the WACREN network, and then the NREN network in North Africa. So if you click on, please, we can now talk about the achievements of Africa Connect, of Africa Connect and UMED Connect. So Africa Connect 2 has achieved connectivity across the African continent. So when we look at October 2010, which is before the Africa Connect 1 project started, we had connectivity in the UMED Connect area to the 4 countries in North Africa and in the Near East, and we had connectivity to South Africa. That was it. At the time in 2010, the Ubuntu Net Alliance as a regional organization already existed. And then in 2016, in October, so after the first Africa Connect project, we then had quite an extensive backbone covering Southern and Eastern Africa. And in October 2018, as you know, the Southern and Eastern African Ubuntu Net network has had more resilient even in the region. And we've also implemented the link from London to Nigeria and Nigeria to Ghana. And if we click next week and show this map again, then you know Togo will be connected. So we have here further achievements for Africa Connect. We have achieved high economies of scale, and this needs to be updated definitely to show the economies of scale also achieved in Togo. And once we will have connected more countries, I think it will become more visible when we talk about the connectivity to Mali, Burkina Faso, very expensive places. But even at the time when we built the first Africa Connect network, you can see how prices have changed and how connectivity increased. We still have, I'm still puzzled at the example from 2011 that we have here, you know, with the Zambian pricing, which was reduced by 94%. I mean, look, if a provider can reduce prices by 94%, you know something is wrong, you know. If I can buy something for 6 when before it cost 100, then the 100 was never based on anything that had any meaning whatsoever. Because at a 94% reduction, they still make profit. And this is a real achievement for Africa Connect. Prices have come down. So if we click on, please. But we also have more institutions connected. And this is the real important element, of course, because yes, we want to lower prices. Yes, we're very proud of being able to lower prices because that will be good for the overall economy and the growth of the digital economies across Africa. But when it comes to research and education, really the pricing is not important. The important bit is the institutions connected. How many scientists now have access to the backbone and access to new possibilities of collaborating with their peers around the world? So this is also quite impressive numbers, but we need more. We need to increase that number, and that is why Africa Connect 3 is coming. If you can click on, please. So Africa Connect 3 will continue on from Africa Connect 2. So a lot has been talked about Africa Connect 3. And the good news is that, of course, the colleague from the European Commission was here and said Africa Connect 3 will happen. That's always good when they say these things. It will happen because the draft action document was approved by the European Commission. So Africa Connect 3 is a reality. We know what the contract that they have in mind looks like. So we will receive total EC funding for Pan-Africa, all of Africa, not just West Africa, but all of Africa, of 30 million euros. It's a very good amount of money. Obviously, we could use more, but 30 million euros is a very good amount of money. And we will have the 4 implementing partners again. That's also within the draft action document. So what I'm putting here is not information that comes from me, but this is information that comes from the European Commission. This is how the European Commission sees this project. This is the only official document we have for Africa Connect at this point in time. So the Commission says there are 4 implementing partners: NREN, the Ubuntu Net Alliance, WACREN, and GEANT. And then they say that there will be African NRENs as beneficiaries of the action, and European NRENs as supporters of the action. So this is how the membership of Africa Connect 3 will look like. For implementing partners, African NRENs, and European NRENs. The overall funding level is defined by the European Commission at 80-20 across the program. And that means that the African continent will have to contribute 7.5 million euros over the next 4 years. How that money is collected is entirely in the hands of the regional partners, NREN, the Ubuntu Net Alliance, and WACREN. But it will have to get collected, because one of the underlying rules in these DEFCO projects is that I can only spend the 30 million if I have the counter contribution. So if I want to spend 10 euros, I have 8 euros from the European Commission, but I must have the 2 euros from Africa as well to be able to spend the 10 euros. So you cannot think, oh, well, that's easy. Let's spend the 30 million in the first 3.5 years, and then Africa will come up with 7.5 million at the end. No, it won't work that way. In order to be able to spend 1 euro, you need to have the 20 cents from Africa in your pocket already. So this is very important, and this is why NREN and the Ubuntu Net Alliance and WACREN really rely on you to bring this money early on. The earlier the money is there, the more this project can run. This project cannot do anything without your financial contribution. The current in Africa Connect 2 we had 3 clusters. This will also continue again in Africa Connect 3. The cluster 1 activity is the Ubuntu Net Alliance. They will receive their own contract. This will be signed between the European Commission and the Ubuntu Net Alliance directly. And for cluster 2 and 3, the decision has again been taken that GEANT will be signing these contracts on behalf of WACREN and NREN. And overall, we have 4 years starting in 2019. We already know we have to start in 2019 because the Commission has to spend this money and sign a contract in 2019. But we have no idea when in 2019 this will be. It has to be before the 31st of December. It's the only thing we know. Okay, next slide, please. The other thing that is very clear is the level of expectation that the European Commission has set. Again, the only document I refer to here is the EC action document, because it's the only official document we have at the moment. And the action document clearly defines 4 outputs that Africa Connect has to deliver. We have to improve the access of tertiary education and research institutions to adequate and affordable e-infrastructures. Output 1. The second output is we need to deliver dedicated services and applications. We need to define them and implement them for the benefit of education and research communities. The output 3 is we have to have adequate human resource capacity and expertise is built within education and research communities. And output 4, awareness of the role of digital tools for the transformation for education and research is raised. Those are the 4 outputs we have to deliver. So with that in mind, what's happening next is that the 3 partners, the 3 African partners, need to write their proposal, their response to the European Commission to these requests. So in order to receive the 30 million, the next step now is for WACREN, ESREN, and the UbuntuNet Alliance, with the help of GEANT, to come up with a way, a very concrete way of how we structure our work in order to deliver those 4 outputs. So we can start thinking about that. It is important that this is led in the African community, that these decisions are taken by you with your partners, because in the end what you're building here is something that is for you. It's not for me, it's not for the European Commission. It's for you, your scientists. So in order to get to these 4 outputs, how do we need to structure our work? From my perspective, but that's me, we need to plan. We need to start writing something, putting something down concretely so that we have a basis to start our discussions. We need to involve the partners, the NRENs in Africa. We need to negotiate, because not everything will be straightforward. You know, as always, you know, in Europe it's always the same. You know, we are 40 partners in the European GEAN project, you know, and all of our meeting always consists, Sabine is smiling already, consists in, you know, NRENs, national networks, trying to get as much out of it as possible while considering the common good. I think this is a consequence, you know, it's probably a characteristic around the world. But while we negotiate, we need to collaborate, because this has to be Pan-African. This has to be a solution that is good for the African continent, good for the development, for the scientific community, the education community in Africa. And I would like to invite you to be actively engaged with your regional partner in these discussions towards Africa Connect. We will have a meeting next week in Amsterdam to discuss this all a little bit further, to take it further also with the European Commission. But in essence, this is where we are today. It's an enormous amount of work ahead of us to get it done. But by 2019, we should be done. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Cathrin. So what I propose is maybe to take the questions now for our speaker before giving the floor 5 minutes to Vodafone sponsor. I don't know if the Vodafone person is in the room. No? Yeah? Okay. So questions first to our 3 speakers.
Hello, okay. Good morning. I'm Roger Salunge, PhD law candidate. And my question goes to the presenter from Uganda. Well, it's kind of a two-sided question. There's a first question and another something like a general proposal for anyone who may want to react in the hall. Okay, you mentioned data security in your presentation, but well, I didn't get much about, you didn't talk much about it. But if we talk of bioinformatics, I guess we're also talking of the data which is which involves humans, for example. So if maybe you want to find out what cells are found in a particular tree, okay, that's fine. But if it has to do with maybe health research, you would have to sample personal data, that is human data. And I was doing some research recently. I noticed Uganda has no law, basically, on personal data protection. They haven't even signed the African Union Data Protection Convention. And interestingly, it should be noted that the ECOWAS directive on the Data Protection Act requests that before there's a personal data exchange between an ECOWAS member state and a non-ECOWAS member state, there should be an adequate level of data protection in that country, which technically means WACREN cannot even cooperate with Uganda, legally speaking. Well, I'm a lawyer. I'm trained to look where people are not designed to look. So maybe that's why scientists don't like us much. But that's like a fact. It is very. If Uganda hasn't signed any of these laws, they have no legal basis on processing personal data, especially sensitive data, which is about data. How can we guarantee that there could be some level of exchange, some safeguards. How could we guarantee safeguards for personal data which are treated in Uganda? And the second part is like, which is general, is like, goes for the conference, if we have African networks, research networks, we shall be exchanging a lot of data among ourselves. Okay, that's fine. Maybe we don't care a lot about privacy, even health privacy. But what if we want to extend to Europe or to the US? There, health data is sensitive data, and it is mandatory that we guarantee a level of personal data protection. It has led to a lot of trouble between the US and the EU. If we know about the privacy shield, or after following the Schrems case, if data protection is not respected, it could lead to serious diplomatic disruptions. So that's the general conclusion. We should take that into account.
Thank you for the questions. I will start first with the personal data protection and the laws. I'm not sure if you follow the events in Uganda, but I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, the president actually signed this into law. And this happened after a few scenarios had happened. But I agree with you, it has been on his table for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. But 3 weeks ago, this was signed into law. Data security, the institute that I work for in Uganda and the collaborating institute in Mali, just for your information, we are the first in Africa to use the trust and identity frameworks. And what happened was, because of the various services we use, through the collaboration at NIH, ISA Uganda and ISA Mali were registered in common. And I don't know of any institute, any other institute in Africa that uses the trust and identity kind of frameworks as we use them. So that shows that we care much about the data security. And the reason why I said RENU is important for this collaboration is any institute that is going to collaborate with us for the S program, they have to use their institutional credentials to access this data. And for your information, I think in Uganda, the institute I represent was the first, I think second or first to join EDIROM. We are the first to join RIF, the RENU Identity Federation. And in West Africa, I worked with my colleagues at NREN to put the first EDIROM instance in West Africa. So we are very much concerned about data security. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Another question was here?
I have a question for Mr. Yahaya, but I will speak in French. I have a question for Mr. Yahaya, but I will speak in French, please. Okay. Thank you. Monsieur Yahaya, je voudrais vous remercier pour cette brillante présentation relative à l'étude de l'avenir de NREN.
And as a CTO, how do you see the prospects of the use of other institutes in the region so that your study would be more specific in data collection, given that each institute will give you sufficient data within their various country contexts. Now, there's a second question to do with NREN, and because they choose to deal only with public universities. Is it a personal choice, or this has been motivated by a certain factor? Because if it would be bad faith if we want to put in place a national network, research and education network, without including the private sector.
Yeah. He asked about the question concerning first of all, let's talk about CTO in the region to be asked or to be involved in gathering data concerning the NREN in the countries. Yes, I work with my colleague, Dr. Rislan, from Bayes University of Nigeria, and I am the CTO of NREN. So he, from his side, he collects data from the NREN, working with the NREN authorities, as I understand from what he told me when we discussed online and on the phone. So yes, definitely the involvement of the CTO in the site is very important. So as I say, in the future work, we want to also study the NREN in the ASREN and WACREN and Umbrella Alliance region. And in this case, we are going to definitely work with all the CTO concerned to have a proper and accurate data concerning the region. Okay? Okay. The second part of the question, what is it?
Le choix.
Okay, oui. Le choix de NREN concerning their membership. According to my friend, he said he got from the NREN policy that they decided to include only the public university and research center in the community, in the NREN. So this is come from NREN policy. I don't have the document, but he said it comes from the NREN policy. So if NREN is around, so they can give us the correct information. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you, my friend. NREN is around.
Yeah, okay.
My name is Joshua Atta from the NREN. I think the information may not be exactly accurate. NREN is open to all higher education and research institutions in Nigeria, whether public or private. And currently, we do have a number of private institutions connected to the NREN. So perhaps if you want to update your data, you can contact us and we'll give you more accurate information on the NREN. But Madam Chair, do I have your permission to ask another question? And my question is to Cathrin. Will there ever be any opportunity to provide support to national NRENs as against the regional NRENs? The reason I ask this question is that because I believe that even the regional NRENs would have been stronger than they are now if the national NRENs were doing very well. Would there ever be an opportunity that we can tap into to strengthen the national NRENs?
Yeah, I think that is a very good question, and that is a concern, and that is a concern that's shared by many. What you need to remember is that the European Union is a regional body, and they, by definition of that, want to work with other regions, not nations. So they see their bilateral relationships between regions of the world and not individual nations. And Africa Connect fits, all these projects really fit very nicely into this, because what Africa Connect builds is regional cohesion, and that is something that the European Union sees as one of their policy aims, building regional cohesion. And that is why historically, and in all of the projects that we've been running for the last 20 years, these projects have always only funded regional connectivity, regional activities, but never anything in country. We are very aware of this, and this is why we're so happy to be able to collaborate with the World Bank for additional support nationally. We've had a lot of conversation with the United Nations about what can the United Nations do for NRENs nationally. I think we need to be far more active in that. And one of the things that Africa Connect 3 will be doing is we will have, and that's again something that the Commission wants to see, they want to see more donor coordination on policy levels. So we will have more regular interactions with the African Union Commission, with the World Bank, with any other donor organizations that are interested. And these questions will always come up, I'm certain.
Okay, thank you. Time is running, so I would propose now, Cathrin is around, you're still here this afternoon, and the two speakers. I think I need to give the floor now to the Vodafone colleagues, because they have the last presentation before the closing session, as we are running late this morning. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, delegates, and good afternoon to the chair. So my name is Edward Akins, and I'm representing my director from Vodafone. So I bring you greetings from Yolanda Kuba, our CEO, and also Angela Mensah-Poku, our enterprise director, who totally aligns with the vision of WACREN. So two things that we feel falls in line with our strategy. The reason why we are going to stick with the vision of WACREN is about networking and collaborations. So Vodafone's history along these two key pillars has been supporting educational institutions to grow from strength to strength in connecting confidently on campus and also off campus as well. So the vision of getting shared resources across the region, West African region and beyond, is a key pillar that we are interested in. So Vodafone actually runs about 25 Vodafone-owned networks across the world. We have 45, I think, or yes, 45 partner networks, and also we run around the globe providing connectivity solution for our Vodafone global enterprises in about 150 countries. So our vision with you is does not just fall within Ghana's operation, but it falls across the global operation. In our vision to support these global agenda that we've had, we have taken steps as Vodafone Ghana, while we are supporting your cause here, to drive activities in Ghana that falls in line with education, for what Vodafone stands for what Ghana stands for, and also for the purpose of educational institutions in our region. We have worked hard to push the boundaries, and these are some of the things that we are doing currently, and we want to push with you as well to make sure that we bring educational inclusion across the region. Vodafone as an institution is driving on its own on a new journey into the future. So we've set up our own university called the Vodafone University, which helps to drive education and training across all our operations globally. And these are things that we've done for years, and it gives us confidence to be able to share our learnings in those areas with the educational institutes. We've been able to build inclusion moving forward into the future, bringing on board women and children and youth as well in our educational foresights that we have. So we believe that we are all partnering to be able to deliver the world that we want to see in future. In some of our activities, we've actually, for solutions that we deliver here, we've included women in what we do. So we have the We STEM, women in science, technology, engineering, and maths activities that we drive across the universities in Ghana. We have instituted female internship programs that we run for people to come. So we will build them up on what you study educationally in school and then practically on the business ground as well, to be able to make sure that we bring the inclusion that we are looking for. We believe that the future is for the next gen and the millennials. So we've started building programs on education for kids in coding, and we started it at the low level because we believe that the future belongs to these people. We've built around instant schools and colleges to be able to help kids learn directly from the terminals or the devices that they have. And that's our promise that we want to support from the grassroots all the way to the top to be able to build agenda. Our stats tells us that the digital penetration is real, and the devices that we have in people's hands are the tools that we think we need to look at when we're trying to provide and deliver educational activities for the youth that are coming up. The activities all are happening in real time on the tablets they have in front of them. So believe that when they get to the time that we'd have to deliver educational materials to them, we might have to consider models where we build e-learning and virtual classrooms and platforms for them to be able to continue from there. Our vision to WACREN is that we want to partner with you to build this ecosystem together. We say we are ready because our logo tells us so, and our readiness is not just about gimmicks, it's just about reality of us preparing into the future. We want to make network connectivity easy for all institutions by building software-defined networks for all institutions that wants to expand easily and quickly. We want to bring easy access to data and connectivity to all institutions that want to drive those agenda. We want to build institutions where documentation and file sharing becomes easy across institutions, so we're building platforms to be able to do file sharing easily on what we do currently at Vodafone, and also be able to bring collaboration tools on the same platform, so engaging resource personnel on the platform would be easy for your institutions. We are also doing our best to build proper e-learning virtual platforms, which we use ourselves to study across all our OPCOs globally, to bring to bear for institutions to use. We are currently working on big projects with Kumasi Technical University and USD. We are supporting them in the drive for paperless campus, so we provide Wi-Fi connectivity for them on campus. We are providing paperless by giving them alerts through our bulk SMS platform for fee payments, for notes and assignment deliveries. And the future we have is to partner with all institutions in this area to support them grow their educational strategy. Tomorrow or next week, Tuesday, we are launching our 4G, and it's a sign and it's a direction for our support for this direction that we're towing, that we want to support each institution here with faster connectivity and more reliable connectivity to be able to deliver your educational solutions. So this is the message I deliver to you from our CEO and our director in support of WACREN. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this quick and interesting presentation. So now don't leave the room because there is the closing session. So we will leave the table, but I think that maybe Omo or Boubacar will come. So thank you for this session. We just have to wait a few minutes. The Minister for Education is coming to close the session, and our colleagues Boubacar, Omo and Ni are getting him.
Right, good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the long silence. All right, so at this juncture, we'll want to call Omo to do a summary of the lip sense workshop that we had. Shall we invite Omo?
So, thank you, participants, for staying with us till the end. So lip sense, well, I just mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I didn't sort of describe what lip sense was. So lip sense is an initiative of the 3 regional networks, WACREN, Ubuntu Net Alliance, and NREN, supported by Africa Connect, to create a community of librarians and NRENs. So you've listened to a number of presentations about, data, what we need to do with data and cyber infrastructure, but we also need to create capable custodians of this data. And so we have identified through a survey that we're running that there's some issues we have to resolve. So LipSense as a whole will deal with capacity building, infrastructure, and connecting these communities in ways that they can leverage this infrastructure in federated environments. So I think there's a wiki. It is, if you go to spaces.wacren.net, is HTTPS, of course, it's HTTPS spaces.wacren.net. You will find the LipSense wiki, and there's a whole lot more information there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Now we hear from Dr. Abubakar Barry, the CEO of WACREN. Shall we welcome him?
Thank you. Good afternoon. We are delighted to have with us Honorable Minister Dr. Osei Adutwum, who is a Member of Parliament and Deputy Minister for Education of the Republic of Ghana. Dr. Osei is former CEO of New Design Charter School in Los Angeles, California. He has a PhD in Educational Policy and Administration, University of Southern California. He also holds a Master's in Educational Management, University of La Verne in California too. And she also holds a bachelor's degree in land economy from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Ghana. Honorable Minister, thank you for being with us. Well, we are at the end of a busy week. Honorable Dr. Osei, Minister of Education, Deputy Minister of Education, Honorable Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research of the Republic of Togo, Professor Michel Savadogo, Commissioner UEMOA, in charge of Human Development, Professor Clifford Tego, Chair Garnet, Professor Keno, Chair WACREN, dear members, friends, partners. Well, we had a busy week, as I said. That started with our LipSense workshop for 2 days. Then we had our Africa Connect 2 meeting with all Africa Connect 2 partners from the 3 clusters and our partner, Géant. And then we had our public board meeting before starting the conference yesterday. I think that we had actually a very good turnout, very good attendance. So there were 160 registered participants. I think we had roughly the same number in the room. And what I would say here at the closing is just to thank everyone, who contributed to make this conference a success. And I do think that last evening also contributed to the success, of the conference. For those who missed it, you really missed a very nice evening. So I wish to thank first of all, the speakers, the presenters, because without presenters there is no conference. So thank you very much, for having submitted papers and for making it to Accra to present them. We should also wish to thank our sponsors, Microsoft, Platinum sponsor, Glow and Main One, Gold sponsors, Exxon, Silver, ICANN, and International Networks, Indiana University, our bronze sponsors. And of course, also, we wish to thank Vodafone that provided the connectivity, for the conference. We also wish to thank the staff of the hotel. I think they did well, and the caterer. There is also an opportunity for us to thank our funders, especially the European Commission. So we had the opportunity to interact yesterday with the head of unit of DEFCO, that is providing us, financial support under Africa Connect 2. And of course, our sister organizations, JEAN, NREN, Ubuntu Net Alliance, you are always with us. I think we are a big family, and you always take the time, to come to our events. Well, a big thank to our local host, Garnet. Thank you very much for hosting us. So this is very much appreciated. And the ushers, I think they made our work, easier. To thank very much the ushers who will be with us all these days. The interpreters, of course, because we are especially in a region where, we have several languages, but at least we cover 2 of them. So thank you very much, the interpreters, for, being with us all these days. And there is, of course, also people, who have started working on this conference for quite a long time. So I wish to thank the WACREN team, especially Omo, who is the general coordinator of this conference. I thank, of course, the technical team led by Alain, and of course the administration, all the administrative work with Tigi and Ufa. So I would finally have a very special thank you to the Honorable Minister of Higher Education and Research of Togo and the Commissioner in charge of Human Development of UEMOA. They have been very supportive, and they are always with us. So I do hope that you enjoy the conference, and we wish you safe travel back home for those who are not from Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Dr. Barry. Shall we receive Professor Clifford Niboy Tego, the chair for Garnet, the local host. Please, let's welcome him.
Master of Ceremonies, thank you very much. Honorable Ministers, the Chairman of WACREN, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've been busy since the beginning of the week, so some of you must be tired. For those who've been speaking all the time, as a doctor and an anatomist, I can tell that your vocal cords must be fatigued by now. So I'll make it short. It really remains for me to thank once again WACREN for honoring us by allowing us to host this conference. I want to thank the local people on the ground, and I normally don't do this, singling out people, but I'm going to do that. Mr. Peter Kaba, who is the, Peter Rise, who is the as Executive Secretary of Vice Chancellors Ghana, what some call Committee of Vice Chancellors, and the Chief Information Technology Officer of University of Ghana, Lucas, there. They have been doing the legwork. I abandoned them, but as we can all see, they managed to pull it off with the help of those at the WACREN Secretariat. I also want to thank all the participants, the speakers, for making this possible. As you go back to your various homes, I wish you Godspeed. Travel mercies, as we say in this part of the country, and we hope to see you in Togo. Is it next year?
Next year we'll be Ghana again.
Well, I think with this experience, we'll have to get a larger venue, maybe the International Conference Center, because I'm sure it's only good things that you guys have to say about us. I thank you all very much.
Thank you to Prof. We'll have again the chair of WACREN, Professor Ni Nakukweno. Shall we welcome him, please?
Thank you very much, and I start by honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As you know, mine is to keep the techie spirit high. So allow me to, while we have the attention of the ministers, for us to talk to the ministers. And you know my formula, AFREN. AFREN. Please, I'm getting deaf. I'm a little old now, so let's do it properly. AFREN. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, the only message I can give is that research and education networks have a special role in forcing us to have to collaborate, okay? Because what happens is that everyone owns their piece of the network, okay? If you take Garnet, there are institutions that own their campus networks. So no one can force anything on anyone, which means you better collaborate. Campuses better collaborate with themselves and with Garnet. And the same applies to the regional REN, okay? WACREN cannot force anything on anybody, nor can you force anything on WACREN. So we have to collaborate. And the best way to collaborate is to take advantage of the enablement that comes with having such a wonderful infrastructure and rather work towards building our inter-REN traffic, okay, so that we too, we can help you build your REN global traffic. Now that we have the attention, I think this is the simple and the best message I can give to you, and I thank you all very much for your sacrifices to make our regional network successful. AFREN.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. We'll have again the CEO of WACREN for a special announcement.
Well, I just wanted to announce you that next year we will come back to Ghana again. If there is, no, it was a joke. Please welcome Serge Adjovi, who is Agence de Développement du Numérique, Republic of Benin.
Good afternoon, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, all protocol observed. It's with great pleasure that on behalf of the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, and also the Minister of Digital Economy and Communication of Benin, we accept and we are glad that you have chosen Benin as the next destination of your event. You know that Benin has been, over the past 2 years, 2.5 years now, very active in putting the digital economy at the center of its development. We have a very strong, very high leadership support. And it will be a fantastic pleasure to make sure that universities and students are at the heart of development. And that we are not only doing it for Benin, but we're also doing it for WACREN, for the rest of Africa, the rest of West Africa, West and Central Africa. So on behalf of the ministers in Benin, I would like to invite you next year, more or less at the same time, in Benin. I'm sure that we have a bigger room, a bigger attendance, and it will be the opportunity for you to enjoy Benin. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuses. So next year we are all going to Benin. Are we all going to Benin? Great. Now we would like to hear from the Deputy Minister of Education, Republic of Ghana. It's a privilege to invite Dr. Osei Adutwum.
Good afternoon to every one of you. I'm honored to be here to give the closing remarks on this auspicious occasion which bring the curtain to a close on your conference. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Directors, Garnet and WACREN, conference participants, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, I'm privileged to be asked to deliver the closing address for this conference, and I thank you for your invitation. It is always a pleasure to find oneself in the midst of important discussions and decisions that shape our society and its future in several fundamental ways. Ladies and gentlemen, without doubt, science and technology have changed our lives beyond recognition. In the fields of medicine, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, aviation, telecommunications, and many others, scientific research and innovation have made our lives easier and longer and have helped increase our life expectancy. Especially within the last decade or two, the change has been remarkable and the speed of change even more stunning. But the beauty of the human mind is its restlessness and its yearning to keep pushing boundaries in seeking answers to the challenges that continue to confront us in spite of the many achievements we have experienced. What this means is that research never ends because it is through research that we strive to find answers to the issues that actually confront us. Ladies and gentlemen, what this means is that not only must research be relevant and innovative, but also the very vehicle by which we conduct our research must change and reflect the needs and realities of the 21st century. It is true that modern travel and aviation have changed dramatically and has made it easier for us to literally crisscross the world to conduct research in a relatively easy fashion. But it is equally true that telecommunications and the internet have also almost rendered the need to trek vast distances for research almost obsolete, even if the travel is being done using modern, quicker, and more convenient methods. And that is why I'm excited by the great work that Garnet is doing and WACREN is also doing to make research easier and more accessible at the fingertip by creating platforms that make it possible to delve into a wealth of material for research purposes without moving from one's location, linking librarians, researchers, and academics and their counterparts worldwide. I understand that during the two-day plenary sessions, workout sessions, or delegates are taken through the connectivity on the West African and Central African sub-region in areas of cybersecurity, cloud development, and teaching and learning, among other subjects. I further understand that Ghana intends to establish collaborations with other established national research networks like GIANT of the European Union and Ubuntu Network Alliance of South Africa. On behalf of the Ministry of Education, I would like to commend Ghana for this innovative approach and initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo believes that quality strategic research linked with industry and the corporate world was important in finding practical solutions to real-life problems in our society. We believe that a society that does not invest in relevant research to meet its emerging needs and in response to changing complexities will essentially perish. On its part, in 2018, government announced that it is going to set up an endowment of 60 million Ghana cedis for a research fund to support higher education research in the country. In areas such as agriculture, renewable energy, irrigation, and several others, government is committed to making the right investment, including getting more students, especially girls, to go into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects as a way of addressing some of the fundamental challenges that face our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the private sector is a key player in our development agenda, which is why there is the need for a collaborative and strategic partnership between government and other stakeholders such as Ghana and WACREN. Together, we can introduce modern research in our schools to assist with teaching and learning by providing support systems for both students and tutors. I see endless, exciting opportunities for collaboration and look forward to further engagement with Ghana in this regard. I have no doubt in my mind that the few days you have spent here have been most productive, helpful, and illuminating, and that you are taking away from here important lessons and perspectives, as well as an enhanced knowledge base to develop your respective careers. As you go out there, I hope you will bring to bear your acquired skills and perspectives to enhance your research capacities and ultimately impact on society. I'm somebody who likes research. Of course, I did PhD, so I should like research. But I also want to ensure that we're using research to really transform what we do, especially in the basic school area, in the area of primary and secondary education. I just came from a workshop where I addressed headmasters and appealed to them to know the performance data of their schools. Invariably, you may have situations where the research has been done, but it's in other university campuses. And the consumers of the research, the ones that can put it to work for the transformation of society, sometimes does not even know the research exists. So as Ghana goes about improving research in this country, I appeal to you to collaborate with us to look at ways where we can create platforms where consumers of research can go to and search for the research. Even if it's the abstract, from there they can go and find out where the research is, and they can use it for the transformation of our nation. And in the area of pre-tertiary education, we need it badly. We need for our headmasters to know that you've done research as to why certain schools perform and others don't perform, and how they can use the various recommendations coming out of the research to begin to really improve teaching and learning in our schools. I want to see at your next conference if there will be opportunity for headmasters to attend and learn from you firsthand and begin to understand that what we are doing is changing society. And as the gatekeepers of learning in our pre-tertiary arena, learning from you can then empower them to go to their schools and begin to look at How do we create a new learning environment? How do we create new schools that will respond to the needs of the 21st century? Our future is not just in the hands of universities. Our future is in the hands of the kindergarten teacher. When that kindergarten teacher knows what research can play and what research says in regards to early childhood education and how early childhood education holds the key to transformation of learning in our schools, then they wake up to understand that I'm not just a KG teacher. I'm the one who is laying the foundations to ensure that teaching and learning changes and to ensure that we mold the minds and hearts of the children for a future ahead of them, a future that is not known, a future where we don't even know the professions that are going to emerge. And it's incumbent upon us to create an environment where teachers will teach and ensure that children are thinking critically, so that any profession that emerges along the line, they will be equipped with the skill set to participate in it, and they can also lead the world. I remember recently attending an event where somebody said Ghana will be the powerhouse for education in Africa. And then when it was my turn to speak, I said, thank you for the compliment. But Ghana is not looking at becoming the powerhouse for education in Africa. We want to be the powerhouse for education in the world. And with due respect to all of us as Africans, all of us as African countries have to aspire to become the powerhouse for education in the world and compete with other nations so that together we can transform. We can transform our world. I was in the US for many years and taught mathematics for 10 years and also ICT for part of the time, and from there went about developing charter schools in South Los Angeles. Urban school environments, managing classrooms are challenging. Children will not sit down for you to teach them. You literally have to beg them to teach them. You have to motivate them and get them excited before you can even teach them. I come to Ghana, I walk into any classroom, and the children will stand up for me. And I say to myself, we are losing our opportunity if we cannot teach the children of Ghana to compete with anybody in the world. There's no reason why Ghanaian students cannot outcompete American students when you can have 90% of their attention. In America, in my classrooms, it's so difficult to get 50% of their attention. So if students are not doing well, it's not their fault. It's those of us as adults that have not capitalized on the opportunity that their behavior and inures to us. The idea that we respect the adults so much, so when you tell me to stand, I will stand. So as researchers, I want you to help create a sense of urgency for us to begin to respond accordingly, to understand that the future of these nations of Africa and the future of Ghana is in our own hands. And once you create a sense of urgency for us, we begin to know what we need to do right, which we have not done, and the things that we are doing right. And when research validates what you do right, you are empowered to do more. So, Mr. Chairman and distinguished leaders of these great organizations and distinguished participants, I actually thought we were going to come back to Ghana next year. When the chairman said they are coming back. But even if you don't come back, if you invite me to Benin, I'll be there. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay, I'm so sorry I didn't close the conference. So at this point, I declare the conference closed.
Right, thank you very much for that thought-provoking speech, Dr. Osei Adutwum. All right, so since Doc has closed the conference, I'm happy to announce that we'll have a lunch right here at 2:30, so we can. Lunch is actually now. AGM 2:30. Thank you very much.